Hello, and welcome to the Louise Elizabeth podcast. For those of you that don't know me, I am a professional network marketer, registered holistic nutritionist, and registered yoga teacher. Working in the health world for the last 9 years, being an entrepreneur for the last 6, and being on my own health journey for almost 13, I have come to realize that health is a lifestyle. It's not just what you feed your body with or how you move your body. It's the relationships in your life, the internal dialogue in your head, how you spend your time, and what your purpose is in this life. This podcast is all about how to up-level your life in all aspects of health, wealth, mindset, and lifestyle. If you're ready to live a life you love and feel good about it, then you're in the right place. Hi friends, I'm at home currently and Vince and Michelle are home, so you can hear voices in the background. It's their voices. Today's topic is something that I love talking about. It's one of my favorite things. Basically anything talking about mindset I just love. And let's get into it. So today's podcast episode is all about how your thoughts are holding you back. So this one's like purely intuitive. I have no notes, nothing. I mean, I don't always have a lot of notes. Maybe that is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know, but there's definitely no notes today. So if I seem all over the place, that's why. But I'm so excited to talk about today's topic, how your thoughts are holding you back. And I really want to share this from pure experience over the last 12 months. Just my life in general, but really just one of those things too, like, I really love personal development books. I do love doing personal development. I love growing my mind. I love expanding. And one of the things that, funny enough, is like super common through any personal development book. Like, I'm going to let you in on a secret here. If you never want to read another personal development book ever again in your life, but you want to get the gist of all of them, the gist of all of them and the message of all of them is that your thoughts create your reality. Like, seriously, that's all them to their core. Whether you read a book on business, and I mean like personal development. I don't mean like the how to do business, but like a book on business mindset, or you read a book on money mindset, or you read a book on relationships. Like, it's really that your thoughts create your reality. And, I know that sounds all fancy and everything. At quick glance, that might sound fancy and easy and all these things. There's nothing easy about it. A big problem, or I shouldn't say a big problem, but a big stopper for most folks is that we have no idea what's going on in our heads. Like, we don't pay attention to our thoughts. We don't take time to tune in. We don't meditate. We don't journal. We don't even just have awareness that there are thoughts, and that in theory, we ideally are paying attention to our thoughts and taking time to tune into them, taking time to be like, okay, like, what's on my mind today, or what's worrying me today. And so a lot of us don't even realize that we're essentially creating these realities that they're just not ideal. They're not what we want. They're not like what we imagine things to be like. They're I don't want to say this and sound insensitive, but like, if we're in situations we're not happy about, like, we are creating them in one way or another. And whether that's intentional, subconscious, or unintentional, like, that's a different story for a different day. And I know that some people are gonna be like, I've had these arguments so many times, and I don't want to get into some of the arguments, but I've also been there before where I've been like, yeah, but this person never wished this upon themselves, et cetera, et cetera. And I get that, and that's not what I'm here to talk about today anyway. I'm here to talk about those things that we really have control over, like the non-fluffy part of your thoughts create your reality, let's say. And the non-fluffy part is the situation that you're in, the life that you're in, the people that are in your life, the lifestyle that you live, the way you look, the way you feel, the way you eat, the success or the lack of success that you have in your business or your career, the purpose that you feel or you don't feel, the happiness that you experience or don't experience. Like, all of those things are within our grasp, and all of those things are things that we do have control over, even though we sometimes think that we don't, right? Like, oh yeah, but you don't understand, like, I need my job, or yeah, but you don't understand, fill in the blanks. And the thing is I do understand, so I'll share a bit of a personal experience in full transparency. So in January, February, March, April, May 2022, so last May, Vince and I decided to take a road trip across Canada. We bought a trailer, good old R-Pod, Podrick we like to call it. And we didn't really have a solid plan. I need to yawn. I don't know why I need to yawn. Every time I start recording a podcast, I swear, I'm so sorry, but this time I just needed to let it happen. So anyway, we hit the road in May 2022. And leading up to it, I had these goals on what I wanted my network marketing business to look like, what I wanted my income to be. And I tried blitzing, like I just wasn't, like nothing was happening. My business wasn't growing. The needle was just like stuck in place. It wasn't going forward. It wasn't going backwards. And, one of my mentors said, your business isn't going backwards. Like that's also something to celebrate. And I was like, yeah. And I wasn't celebrating it. I was just focusing on how my business wasn't growing. And I was just focusing on my business isn't growing. My business isn't growing. My business isn't growing. And not only did my business not continue to grow, but it started to go backwards. I made the biggest financial investment I've ever made into myself, which was really scary at the time. And I made this investment, and I don't know how to explain it, but I made this investment thinking it would fix all my problems in my business, and it didn't. My business went backwards. I felt like I didn't learn anything new, and I felt like I made this investment from a place of desperation, I'll say. And I think because I made it from this place of desperation, from a lack mindset and a fear mindset, I didn't make the right investment for me. I didn't make the right investment that was going to help my business grow. I didn't make the right investment. Yeah. So that was hard. That was really hard, if you can't tell, hence my pause there, for me to do. And so all of this happened, and my business wasn't growing. It wasn't moving forward. And so I hit this point in May where I was at this plateau that I'd been on since 2020. This plateau I'd been on for 2 freaking years. It didn't matter how many clients or how many team I brought into my business. Like it would go up for a bit, and then it would always come to this plateau. And so we hit the road, and then my business started going backwards. So it had been plateauing for a long time. And then this fear that I had of my business not growing, not only did that even more so become even more of a reality that I was creating in my thoughts, but then my business started going backwards. And then you're on the road full time. And so not only are you on the road full time and your business is going backwards, but like all these things are happening. You're stressed about money. And then when you're stressed about money and you're from a place of lack, like not only did my business start going backwards fast, but it started going backwards really fast. And I really started panicking, and so many things happening around me. And so I won't get into the whole road trip, but I've shared this on the podcast before, for both of us, we ended up being really stressed because of not only that, like Vince's business in the NFT world, the cryptocurrency crashed right when we hit the road, and then my business started going backwards, and we hit this weird limbo on the road where we were really happy when we were out adventuring and we're out hiking or we're climbing or we're doing whatever we wanted to be doing. And then when we were in the car driving or just in the trailer and slowing down, there was this total pendulum to stress and worry and lack. And so it was really interesting to go through that journey, because everything I listened to told you to hold the faith. It told you to believe. It told you to focus on the positive. And when you're in those low moments, when you're in those moments of really high stress, when you're in those moments where you feel like a failure, when you're in those moments where you're like, what the F am I doing? Like, I suck, it's so hard to look at the positives around you. It's so hard to see them. It's so hard to believe in them. It's really difficult. And if you dive into the manifestation world, which I was trying to dive into, which was from a place of lack, I should say, from a huge place of lack, And I was trying to dive into the manifestation world, and they're telling you your manifestations are on their way, but there's usually a lag effect. And then you have to believe, and then you need to believe when you're in this place of stress and lack and worry. And it was just creating more stress and lack and worry and things I was lacking in other places. I had no joy in my business. I was still doing the work, but literally nothing was happening. Like, at least before I hit the road, I was still bringing people into my organization. I just was plateauing, I think, business size wise, because I needed to up level as a leader. But I stopped being able to bring anybody into my organization, anybody to say yes. And it was because I was just coming from this place of lack. And I had created this story in my head that I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't get clients. I couldn't get people over the line for this amazing product, even though I love the products. I couldn't bring on team who wanted to actually do work, because I told myself that was the only team I attracted to myself. I keep bringing on team, but nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to do anything. And that's exactly what kept happening. I kept bringing on team who didn't want to do anything. I'm not good at clients. I'm not good at bringing clients on. I could not bring a client on to save my life. And man, when you're in those moments, it's really hard to look back and see how you created that. You can get into the fluffiness about it if you want, but also I can get into the reality of it. I wasn't having conversations from a place of love. I wasn't actually looking for people who I wanted to work with. I wasn't actually reading what people were, like, I was reading people's responses, but I wasn't really like letting it simmer, like, wow, this person's really going through a hard time right now. I lost my compassion in those moments. I didn't want to be a salesperson, but that's literally, or I didn't want to be a sleazy salesperson, but that was literally what I was turning myself into, because I was focusing on what I didn't want. And I remember being like, oh my God, something needs to change. And I actually don't even know what it was that made it all pivot. But I remember being like, oh my God, my thoughts create my reality. And I am literally creating this reality right now. I'm creating this reality where I not only feel like a failure, but I'm turning into a failure. Not that I really believe failure is like a thing, but I was turning into this place where I was ready to quit. And it wasn't because I didn't want to quit because I didn't align with what I was doing. I wanted to quit because it was hard. I felt like I'm in the network marketing industry. I'm here to teach people how to do business. I felt like I couldn't even freaking teach myself. How was I going to teach somebody else? So I was really considering and wanting to quit at one point. Luckily, I'm freaking stubborn. I will say that. I am so stubborn. I'm so stubborn. And I'm such a red and I'm such a Leo, where I was like, no, all these people are just be waiting there. Like, I'm going to quit. And they're going to be like, see, I freaking told you so. I was like, no, I'm not going to give those people the satisfaction. But I knew something had to change. I knew that I just couldn't keep feeling this way. So first off, I needed to generate income outside of my network marketing business, even though I wanted my network marketing business to be my main income, because I love my network marketing business and I can do a whole episode on that. I love working with people. I love people. I love social media. I don't care what anybody says. I freaking love it. It's fun to write things. I love writing. I love reading, so I love writing. Creating the fun reels, that's kind of fun too, because then I get to look at all these videos of all these awesome things that they've done, and it brings memories to my forecast, I totally forget where I was going on that because I got on a tangent. Love social media. Where was I going? Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, things just kind of started to pivot because I was like, I can't quit. Right. This is where I was going. I can't quit. But I do need to take this financial pressure off of my network marketing business because I'm no longer coming from a place of love. And however I'm doing business right now is obviously not working. So I need to try something new on. And I need to take the financial pressure off so that I can find my love for this business again and find it in a way that aligns with me. So I'll share that on a different podcast episode, but I totally changed how I do business since the start of this year, 2023. How I talk to people, all of it. I've changed all of it. So anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to change my business, but I still need money and I need money to come in now. And that's where I started cleaning business, and that's a different story for a different day as well. So where I was headed with that, though, is I hit this point where I realized I was just in this constant state of fear, in this constant state of worry, in this constant state where I couldn't, through and through to my core, look around me and enjoy every single moment I was having on this epic road trip that we were on. And that's where I was like, I am doing something that I love so much, which is exploring new places. It's spending an abundant amount of time outdoors, and I can't fully enjoy it. Something's not right here. So I've always been curious about journaling. I've always dabbled in meditation, but I hit this point where I was like, I need to bring this mindfulness practice back. Like I need to really start anchoring into my thoughts. And so I know that I didn't resonate with a lot of manifestation things where they were just like peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, it's all peace and love. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for that. Like your words of affirmation of where you're already at. But the thing is that I realized is if I don't truly believe it to my core, I'm manifesting more of what I don't want because to my core, I don't believe it. Because my thoughts are still creating this reality. And I forget what the fancy thing, the articular or something in your brain, that when you say, oh, I want to buy a yellow car and you see yellow cars everywhere, that's manifestation. That's your brain looking for those things. So if you're like, I'm so grateful to be a millionaire, but deep down inside you're like, oh, you're broke. You can't even pay for blah, 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 blah. That's actually what your brain's looking for, the things you can't pay for. And then you feel less abundant. And then you lower your vibration, and then less things come to you. And if you're like, that's too woo-woo, well, you're probably not in a good place because I believe in manifestation. But even more so, if you wanted to just think about how your thoughts create your reality, if all you're thinking of deep down to your core is how you don't have enough money, you don't have enough opportunities, you don't have enough lucky moments, you don't have enough, you don't know enough of the right people, that's all you're focusing on. So that stranger that says hi to you on the street that you look at and you smile like, hey, who knows? Maybe that stranger would spark up a conversation for you, and that might be your opportunity. Or you're so feeling sorry for yourself that you're just mindlessly scrolling on your phone that you don't even smile at the stranger in the first place. Whereas if you're in an abundant place, you tend to look around more. You tend to take things in. Or if you're like, I choose to believe I'm X, Y, and Z, whatever X, Y, and Z is, your brain's looking for it. If you don't believe it yet, but using the statement, I choose to believe, helps get you there, which kind of jumps ahead of myself a little bit. So for me, a big pivot moment that helped me realize, obviously I had this moment where I was like, something's got to change. But funny enough, I came across this book. It's called Rich as Fuck by Amanda Frances. And I listened to the podcast. And this is when I first was kind of dabbling a bit more in running. And I realized I liked running because I could listen to podcasts. And listening to podcasts isn't something I just do when I'm putzing around the house or whatever. And I was like, okay. So I listened to this audiobook and it really opened up a lot of things for me. And she shares her story, and I don't know if it's just because her language wasn't very fluffy, it was very to the point, but I've always believed in your thoughts create your reality, and I've always believed that mindset's everything, but that's all easy and it sounds all fancy, but when you're in those low moments, it's so hard to realize oh my God, this is where I'm at right now, this is what's happening. So I needed something to help snap me out of it, and that book was one of those things. The how I was feeling, and then that book. And I remember listening to this book and being like, okay, Things need to change. Like, things need to change. And so all these things that I was like embarrassed about or felt fear about or I was worried about, I started to change my perspective on. Like, for example, Vince did a lot of supporting me on the road, supporting us, I should say. And I felt so guilty about it so often. I felt shameful instead of being like, I'm actually so grateful for this man who is supporting me and not making me feel an ounce of guilt. Any guilt that I'm feeling is a me thing. It's not a him thing. Like, literally, I was tracking everything that he was paying more of. And at one point, he literally looks at me and he's like, Louise, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. It's so stupid to me that you say you want to pay me back. And I had never experienced something like that in my entire life, especially relating to money. And, you know, I think he actually said that right around when everything was starting to click for me, how low my thoughts were. And I remember looking at him and just being like dumbfounded, like, oh my God, I don't even know what to say to you right now. And so I started to shift. Instead of feeling all these negative things, I started to feel gratitude. How grateful, and I don't even need to say how grateful I am. How amazing is it that I have this human in my freaking life that doesn't make me feel guilty about sharing his money with me. I don't feel trapped. I don't feel like he's dangling it over top of my head. If I wanted to break up with him right now, I could, and he wouldn't be like, oh no, you can't, blah, 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 blah. Like, I felt so safe and protected and supported in that. But for months, I felt fear and all these things. And that moment where I started to shift my thoughts and my reality, I started to see more gratitude for these things that were causing me stress. So much change for me. So much change for me. Like, literally the exact same situations no longer stressed me out. They brought me joy. Like, when Vince would buy me stuff, I started saying to myself, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I appreciate this man. I can't wait to return the favor. I can't wait to support him. I can't wait for this. I'm playing with a lid in the background. And it's the truth. Like, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to just spoil him. And I've been able to. Last month, we had a weekend. It's so funny. We had this beautiful weekend away from my birthday, and I wanted to stay at the fancy hotel. I wanted to spoil us with the Nordic spa. And so I had booked and paid for it because I wanted to. I just wanted to. And 12 months ago, I could not imagine that. So I share that story, which is really vulnerable for me, to be honest. Because if you're listening to this and you're like, Louise, telling me that my thoughts create my reality, my thoughts are what's holding me back, my thoughts are creating this shitty situation where my car's not working, and that's another story too. I can share one of those stories. I can relate and I can feel you to my freaking core. Really. I feel for you. I really do. I've been there, and I've been there recently. The thing is all these personal development books, all these really successful people, not even just personal development books, go listen to successful people talk. All of them have the same message at their core. Like, when you decipher it down and make it as simple as you possibly can, it's that your thoughts create your reality. So if your thoughts create your reality, your thoughts are what are holding you back as well. If you're not where you want to be, if you haven't reached the goals you want to be, if you don't have the body that you want, if you don't have the energy that you want, if you don't have the career you want, all of it, the money, it's your thoughts that are holding you back. And some of those might sound unrelated, but they're super related. Like, for example, if you don't have the energy that you want, your thoughts are holding you back. First off, you have to believe that you can feel better. Because if you don't believe you can feel better, then that means you're not going to try anything to feel better, because you'll be like, oh, that just doesn't work. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'll have this forever. Oh, my body can't do that anymore. And your thoughts are going to hold you back because you won't even try. You won't even try. And what's interesting with all of it, when it comes to your thoughts holding you back or stopping you from trying or even just seeing, that I find super interesting is, what if you just tried? Worst case, you're in the exact same spot you are now. Best case, you feel better or you get closer to your goal, whatever. But on that note, if the whole time you think it's not going to work, you're right. You're 100% right. It won't work. And like, what's the movie? Oppenheimer with the atom bomb. Like, watch that movie. That movie literally tells you how your thoughts create your reality, because your thoughts are wavelengths. Your thoughts are energy. And they go out into the universe. It's all interconnected. So your reality can change. So, if you're listening with me still, some things to consider, bring in, try out is, first off, journaling. And I don't mean like journaling, I'm so grateful for this, I'm so da-da-da-da-da. I think that one point, getting to that point, is really important. That's where I'm at now. Every once in a while, I'll have a little bitch fest in my journal. I'm not going to lie. I'll be like, okay, universe, I've had enough. I'm ready for this. But I'll say 99% of the time, it's, I'm grateful for this. This is where I'm going. I'm journaling and I'm writing, scripting, whatever you want to call it, about my dreams, my goals, where I'm headed. And I tried to start with that, but it didn't work because I didn't actually take time to look at what my fears were, what was holding me back, the belief systems that don't serve me. I was pretending like everything was okay when it wasn't. And that is not going to help get you closer to your goals. You actually have to sit and look at what's bothering you, what the fears are, what the limiting beliefs are, what the ego is saying, what the story is. You actually have to look at those things in the face. Because if you don't look at them, they're just going to keep lingering there. And if you don't look at them, it actually gives them power. You have to look at them so that you can call them out on their bullshit. So for example, with me, right, just based on my story, what I shared with my business is I was like, oh, like I can't bring on any team, blah, 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 blah. And that was my like subconscious belief that I didn't even realize, right? Because I was telling myself, no, I got this, we're all good. I'm so grateful for my 5 new team this month. I'm so grateful for my 5 new team this month. And I didn't look back and look at this underlying language and fear that I had, that I wasn't capable enough, or I didn't know how to bring on team, or I wasn't good enough to do that. And I can literally find examples in the last 6 years where I did exactly what I said I couldn't, where I brought on team consistently every single month, where I brought on 5 or more team. So unless you look at these things that are these subconscious beliefs, stories, whatever you want to call them, they're still there. And until you look at them and address them and decide that they're fake, they're not real, or start to analyze them, because sometimes you're like, you have a limiting belief and then you look at it in the face and then you almost talk to it a little bit and you realize that it's BS, like the one I just shared with you. Literal BS. Like I can go and find old reports and be like, look, Louise, you're wrong. But until you do that, they're still going to be there. It's like you have a dusty floor and you lift up the carpet and you just keep putting all the dust underneath the carpet. Still there. The dust is still there. You still got to do something about it. So those fears, those stories, you still have to do something about it. You have to look at them in the face. So a lot of us, our thoughts are holding us back because we don't even realize we're having these thoughts. We don't even realize that we're talking ourselves out of something before we even try. We don't realize we're setting ourselves up for failure by saying we're going to fail. So the first step is always awareness. Journal, meditate, find something, read a book. But you have to be aware of what's going on in your head, in your thoughts, in your heart. Then start to decipher that and see where the truth is not a reality, or where the thoughts are not the truth, excuse me. Actually look at it. Actually see the lie. And then either start to rewire your brain by choosing to believe something new. So I don't love I am statements. Now I'm a little bit more open to them. But when I first started this journey, and Amanda Frances talks about this in her book, and I really loved it, is that I choose to believe this, because your thoughts are neurological pathways. So if you want to rewire those pathways and rewire your brain to think differently, you have to start creating new ways of thinking. But when you say, I am this, and you don't still believe it yet because those old beliefs are in there, you have to come in with, I choose to believe. I choose to believe. It's so powerful, seriously. I choose to believe I'm on my way to being a millionaire. I choose to believe that I bring on 5 team or more every single month with ease. I choose to believe that I am a customer magnet. I choose to believe that I am an incredible leader who is very duplicatable in her organization. I choose to believe that I have all of these leaders on their way to me into my business. It just, something about that I choose doesn't give your brain the opportunity to be like, actually. So first the awareness, then work to rewire. And the other way to stop having your thoughts holding you back is to start to see the light in the dark places. When our car key would not start our car while we were on a road trip, right when we were peak stress, like we almost called it. It was really hard. It was really stressful. So many factors, where we were, away from civilization, we had the trailer, like all these things. Our campsite didn't have reception. And when it happened, like I said, it was very stressful, but both of us really had to practice seeing the light. I was so grateful for the conversation that it opened up for me and Vince about our life goals that we had not really dove into before. We've talked about oh yeah, I want to get married, or I love you, I want to be with you forever. But we never was like, what do we want to do? Do we want to buy a house? What's our 5-year plan? We never had that. And it actually had forced us to. I was grateful for it, even if the conversation was hard at the time. I was grateful because it reminded me I needed to slow the fuck down. It reminded me that my thoughts create my reality, because we had 2 things happen to the car in a very short period of time. And then I remember thinking, oh yeah, unlucky things happen in 3s. And then something very unlucky happened to me 10 minutes later when I was driving. So it was the reminder that your thoughts do create your reality. But then I was also grateful for that. So I saw the power in it, even if it wasn't something positive in that moment. I hope that episode was useful for you. Talking about mindset, I love it. And I love talking about it in a way that's hopefully very raw because it's all fun and fluffy. And, hopefully if you listen to this, you consume some of my content, or you know me at least. I really believe that we can all have everything that we want. And I really believe the biggest factor that changes it for most people, if not all people, from hitting those things, it's all in our head. As someone who's shown up consistently for 6 years for her business and has seen her own business and how it's grown and even thinking about how it's felt, thinking about the road trip, thinking about getting engaged, thinking about finding Vince, thinking about our dog Yuki and her coming into our lives. Everywhere I look, there is nothing but clues about how my thoughts have created my reality. which means if my thoughts have created my reality, my thoughts have the power to either propel me forward or to hold me back. And the same goes for you. Shamelessly, I'm going to ask for you to leave a review, maybe share this on Instagram. I am Louise Elizabeth. Tag me so I can see it. If you found value in this, please share it so others can hear it. I'm so grateful to have you here, and I really hope that there's just one little nugget of wisdom in there for you. Have a beautiful day wherever you are. Bye.